Hi everyone, it's Tammy, excuse me, Tammy with Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the froggy voice today. I am feeling great, but my voice is not cooperating, so I might sound a little gravelly today, but we'll get through it. So this is the video that was supposed to air on Saturday, but I forgot that I was committed to helping my niece move into her dorm for her senior year. So I was tied up doing that, so I couldn't get the video out. So I am doing it today, and we're going to continue to work on our little folio here for the life of Jenny, which, if you did not watch the first video, are based on some cabinet cards that I got in a Victorian photo album that had a lot of pictures of the same person from the time she was a baby until she was a married adult. And so I have taken those photos and made copies of them, and that's what I'm going to use in this journal. So today what we're going to work on is the cover, and we're going to try, I got most all the bases covered and laid out. For the inside, this is where I am so far. So I'm going to get the outside covered, and then my next step in the next video will probably be putting the signature. I'm going to have a single signature in here. So let's work on the cover and see what we can come up with. I had chosen this piece of scrapbook paper for the cover. So we're going to start with that. We're going to put that down first. And I chose this because I like the colors, but I also like the idea that this young lady was a well-rounded lady, and that she was exposed to the arts and photography and music and all these different things. And I thought this particular paper was just really pretty. So that's kind of what we're going to base the journal on, and the color scheme and all that kind of stuff. So with that being said, let's get this glued down. I think I'm just going to use art glitter glue because this is pretty thick scrapbook paper. It's going to add a nice stability to the file folder base and give it a more book-like feel by adding another layer of a thicker cardstock scrapbook paper. I hope all of you guys are doing great and you had a great weekend. We had a great weekend, even though, you know, I was moving boxes. The weather was absolutely outstanding, and it is again today. It's not as warm, and the humidity is low, and so it's actually quite pleasant outside today. And it was yesterday and Saturday as well. So that's always a good thing. I think we're going to have an early fall this year. I'm starting to see some indications of not a lot of leaves turning, but some leaves turning, just in splotchy places, which is really strange. And I also noticed that our spider population is increasing. And that usually happens in the fall. Every morning when I go out to my Jeep, or if I have to go out to my Jeep, I don't go out there every morning. There's spider webs on my rear view mirrors, and I have to wipe them off because I'm always afraid I'm going to be driving down the road and some spider's going to come in the car. I don't much care for spiders. Not as bad as snakes, though. I don't like snakes at all. I had some very bad, that's the wrong way, Tammy. Very bad experiences with snakes when I was younger. I had one crawl across my foot one time, and I thought I was absolutely gonna have a heart attack and fall over right there. And then I was watching my dad mow the yard. One time, and one struck at the lawnmower. It scared me to death because I thought for sure it was going to get my dad. And it actually, I say run, but snakes don't run. But it took off and crawled up in the car. And in the front of the car through the grill, and was up in where the radiator was in the car, and my dad had to get it out and kill it. Horrifying. And then the worst case, well, two worst cases. We had a pool, a swimming pool, in our yard, and went to empty the basket that's in the filter, you know, that catches all the leaves and all that kind of stuff. And there was a baby water moccasin. And that, again, horrifying. And then the worst case was my neighbor's little dog. We raised Scottish Terriers at that time, and my neighbor had purchased one, and her Scottish Terrier was missing, which was very unlike it to run off. And behind where we lived, there was a big open area where the power lines went through. It was like a, you know, I can't think of the term I'm trying to think of, but, you know, a right-of-way where, you know, no one could build or anything like that. And then behind that was woods. And so we kind of did a search party kind of thing, and, you know, went out in that area to try to find her dog, and found it. And it had been bitten by a rattlesnake. And so then, not far from there, I guess they found where the rattlesnake had shed its skin, and, you know, it was huge. So then they decided that they needed to find the snake before, you know, it hurt somebody or another dog. And so they went on, you know, to find the snake, and it was huge. It had 13 rattlers on it when they found it and killed it. And so I think between all those instances, and this was in South Carolina, where snakes are everywhere, you know, because it's marshy, especially water moccasins. And I think all those traumatic cases when I was younger have just made me horrified. Horrified of snakes. So, anyway, that's a great story for today. It's my snake story. Anyway, I got off on a tangent, went from spiders to snakes. Alright, so there's the front and the back covered. And I have this piece of fabric that I'm going to put on the edge like this to cover the spine. But before I do that, do I want to do it before or after? Do I want to cover it up? So I think I'll do it before. So I'm going to flatten this out, I think. Put the fabric on there. I'm going to do my signature is going to be like a Midori style with the elastic so that you can take it out. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on and then put my elastic in. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. And this is just like a cotton fabric, like a fat quarter, you know, quilting type cotton. But the spine has already been reinforced with a couple layers of file folder, so I don't need it for support. I'm just using it for decorative looks and to kind of, you know, finish off everything. Of course, it'll give it extra support, but it's not necessary in this case. Try to get that centered front and back. And I am going to go ahead and bend it so I can make sure it's kind of even, and it is. Okay, and then I'm going to trim it off at the top. It's a little bit long. I could wrap it, but in this case, I'm going to choose to trim it. Oops. Lost the tag. And then I'm going to fray it back a little bit. I'm just using my nail to kind of pull some of these strings. Alright, so there's that part, and then I have this lace that I got in Maine at an antique shop, and I'm going to put it on here just to kind of finish that edge, front and back. Again, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac. I don't think there's much difference on this one between the front and the back. They look about the same. Yeah, I'm excited for my niece starting her senior year. She only has 2 actual classes, and the rest is clinicals. She's going into psychology, so she wants to help young people. So, and she's already been accepted to the master's program, so when she graduates in the spring, she's going to go immediately into the master's program in social work, so that's kind of cool. Alright, and you can see this is kind of loose still, but when the signature gets in there, you know, and there's something for that to put up to, I think it's going to be fine. Alright, now we're going to do the same thing on the back. And then my grandkids on Saturday participated in a parent-child golf tournament. And my poor son-in-law played with all 3 of them in 3 different age categories, and all 3 of them came in first place. So I'm quite proud of all of them for that. But I'm sure he was exhausted playing with all 3 of them, because they did kind of a alternate. It's a tournament where you alternate who hits the ball. So he had to do that for 3 different kiddos. But he would have been in the, let's see, 14, 15-year-olds, the 12, 13-year-olds, I think was the other one, and the 7, 8-year-olds. No, 7, 8, or 9, 10. I can't remember what the other one was, because I don't know if, a lot of times the youngest one plays up an age group. So, but anyway, they all did good. Alright, so there is our basic cover. And now we're going to start putting on the embellishments. So I chose this picture of Jenny, and it of course is a picture of her as an adult. Excuse me, I'm going to get a drink here. And I have put it in an old Victorian style mat board. And that is going to be our focal point, of course. And then I'm going to embellish it with some different items that I have gathered that kind of go with the paper and the theme of what we're thinking about for this. But the first thing I'm going to do is glue this part down. I'm not going to worry about a closure at this point because I'm thinking we're not going to need one. If we end up needing one later, then we'll deal with that then. And again, I'm using Fabri-Tac because this is like printed on cardstock that has a double layer. Like I printed it on cardstock and then I put another piece of cardstock on the back, and then it has this fairly thick almost baseboard like frame. So I want to be sure that it's good and glued down and sturdy. And I don't know how well the camera is pulling off the colors, but this has kind of a greenish background, and it's embellished with silver, this little design. So that's why I went with the green fabric to kind of pull in the green from here and also the green from the paper. So now that we have that, I've kind of pulled out some things, and I want to put a little cluster kind of down in this corner. So for that, I have a little violin. And I'm going to ink these as I talk about them so we don't have to go back and do it again. And then I have some just leaves here. And I'm just going to kind of lightly ink those so we don't see the little white parts. And then I have this adorable little bird. And oh, I forgot to bring, I meant to bring my feathers up here. My pup has been quite busy this weekend and has found me all kinds of feathers. She found a big old turkey feather and a huge hawk feather, which is absolutely gorgeous. And she found me a blue jay feather. She loves to go out and hunt for all kinds of different things. You never know what she's going to come up with. So I just have some random little flowers. These are all 49 in Market die cuts to kind of pull in some of the pinks. And this is just some little berry looking things. I've got one of the stamps from Tim Holt's stamp book. ink that up a little. And I have this little kind of ticket-like piece that kind of pulls in that goldy mustardy color that's in the paper. I've got some lace and stuff we're going to use. I have this little thing that looks kind of like a locket. And I have stamped a J in there for Jenny, and then put some of the Tim Holtz tape over top of it, and it makes it look like it's an older, you know, that it's yellowed. So I really liked how that came out. And then I have a little piece of film strip. Here's another flower. And then I want to try and use, I don't know if you can tell on the photograph here, I'll lift it up. Do you see how she has this chain running from her button down to here? I wanted to try to kind of emulate that if I could. So I have this little ribbon crimp, and I put some chain on it. And then I found this button in my stash that's like a pearl-like button. Whoops. It has kind of a silver rim around it that I thought kind of looked like our buttons. And so I'd like to incorporate that somehow. So we're going to work and see what we can do with that. What we might could do, I don't know. Let me get the rest of this put together and then we'll decide. So I thought this could go kind of like our little base for the cluster and go right here on this corner. And then I'm going to put the stamp on this part. And then I want these flowers to kind of come over this way. And then I want to put the violin. These may have to go lower. I'm going to put the violin on there, and then I want the bird to kind of sit on the violin. I want these to go up this way. And then we have the film strip. We may put it kind of like that. And then my J, I want to pin on this stuff. Maybe that's what I want to put on here. If I put that on there, no, I don't think that's going to work. I think what I want to do is put this here. There. You guys remember how I did this, so when I'm need you in a minute. You can tell me. We may have to do this somewhere else. Oh, maybe we do something like that. Yeah, like that. What do you guys think? Can we get it all glued in there like that? Probably not, but we're gonna try. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is glue down these elements. I say all the time, thank goodness for our glitter glue and their little bitty spout when it comes to gluing these things. So now we're gonna get this one here. Oh, darn. Darn, darn, darn. Get up there. Alright, so in order to make this work, I think I need to clamp this on the side of this. And you know what? My pliers are not in here. Because I had to use them in another room and I didn't bring them back. My fault. Lost my jump ring off. Here, I didn't close it good enough. Probably because my pliers weren't up here, right? Okay, let me pause you and run and get them. It'll be just a second for you. All right, now we're in business. These are just regular needle nose pliers. I do have jewelry pliers, but they're packed away because I don't do jewelry work anymore. And I wasn't really thinking when I packed them away that I could actually use them for junk journaling. So at some point, I'm going to pull those out. Alright, so I'm going to clamp this on the corner, or the side, technically. And I got these little ribbon clamps, crimps, whatever you want to call them, from Amazon. Hopefully I can get this on here. I feel like I have two hands full of thumbs right now, though. They're made to hold something thicker, so I may have to glue it as well. It's a bit more fiddly than I had intended. Nope, got it. Okay, so we're going to put that on there. And then that's going to go right here. So let's glue that in place. And I left the pin out of my glue when I ran downstairs. But it's still working. That's a miracle in itself. All right, and then we had this, didn't we? So let's do that. And that is sticking to the stamp because the stamp was a sticker. And even though I kind of rubbed it on my shirt so I could move it around without it sticking, it's still got a little bit of sticky left on it. Okay, so next is going to come these flowers. So the Olympics are done. I have to say, USA did great in everything. We should be very proud of what they accomplished. Do I want to, yeah, put this one down. But I am kind of looking forward to all the TV shows coming back on. Then the little birdie sitting here. Oh, I meant to put this flower. Luckily I didn't. I thought about it before I pressed down on that bird the whole way. So I'm going to put this right here. Okay. Now I want to put this. I should have put this down. Luckily I could get it lifted up, and I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac for that. Alright, now drape our little chain. I may have gotten this too low. And do we want to I think I'm going to take this ring off here because I don't think we need it. Can I bend that with my fingers? Probably not. This is just a safety pin. One of the little mini ones. So if I put that through the bottom ring, part of the problem is I need to trim my nails. They're too long for this. See if that's come off there. Fiddly, fiddly. It's come off again. Alright, let's go with, instead of the safety pin, let's put the ring back on. Put the ring on here. We're going to go back to the original idea. Put the ring back on here. maybe. Sorry, guys. Put that back. Alright, and then put the button through the ring. Yep, that's gonna work. Okay, so I'm gonna glue this down right there. And then I'm gonna put the button just like that. Wrong one. Yep. Now I'm going to try to clamp that in place until it dries. Okay. So there is our cover, pretty much completed. If I can get my pen back in here. Now it's gonna booger up. There we go. And let's work on this journal card on the inside. So what I have for this one is I have just a piece of Tim Holtz backdrop paper that I cut a fairly large journal card out of. And I have this picture, which is actually from a children's book where the panels, I'll show you. Let me grab it so you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, I got this at McKay's for 50 cents. And it has, these are by Ernest Nister. There are several of them, and you can see this one is warped. It's got a nice little warp in it, and I think that's why it was 50 cents. But it has these adorable little Victorian pictures that when you pull down on the tabs, they slide and the picture changes. So, what I did is I cut one of the pages out, and then I took both of the pictures. I took it all apart because in this journal I can't fit, obviously, something that big. I took it all apart, and I took the two separate pictures. Here's the other one. And I glued them down so that, you know, this one was inside. Actually, I think this one was in the front, and this one was one that was revealed when you pull the tab. So, I'm going to reutilize these pictures, but in this particular journal, I can't utilize them, you know, as a pull down, which I think if you had a smaller journal or a bigger journal, or was doing it like on the cover, or even a full-size journal with a full-size page, you could take the whole page out and actually have it where it functioned. But for this one, I could not do that. So I just glued them all together, and I'm going to use this as focal point on this journal card. And I think I'm going to round the corners, because I've rounded the corners on the card. And I'm going to use the smaller one on this one, but I just think it will look better if these are rounded as well. And I'm going to put that on there, and then we're going to figure out if we need to do anything else to embellish that, or if we like it is. I think it needs actually it needs a tab over here, because it's going in that little side pocket. Or actually, it's a corner pocket. So, what can we make a tab out of? Let's make it out of this. That's color. It's the back side of the drop piece. So, color-wise, it should match just fine. So, I'm just going to fold it in half at the bottom and cut a piece off. And then I'm going to put it in my tab punch and just punch a tab. Okay, tab punch, where are you? You want to leave just a little bit of space at the top, and then punch it, and you have a little two-sided tab. Alright, so let's ink the tab. And ink this piece. I think I've already inked that. And glue that down. Another thing you could do, if you run across one of these books, is you could leave glue on the edges and leave the slots open, depending on the picture. And then you could have little tucks. Just tuck stuff down in each of the little slots all the way up. That would be cute too. I centered it top to bottom, but I moved it a little bit further this way since we're going to have a tab over here to give me a little bit more room to put that tab on. So I'm going to glue that now. Okay, and I think I'm just going to leave this like this. I think you could write over that with a black marker and you could see it just fine. So I'm going to leave it, but I think I might want to put a cluster. I'm saying I think a lot today, aren't I? So what do I have that I can make a little cluster out of? Oh, I've got these cute little buttons. They look like little roses. See if we can do something with one of those. And what do I have for lacy bits? I thought I had some kind of pinky. Yeah, I do. This. And maybe a little piece of this. Oh, that goes on my lace. Try to stick that pin back in my glue, but that's not my glue pin. I'm going to try to cut the back of that off so it's not sticking up so much. There we go, now to lay flatter. All right, what else do we want? That's quite cute with a circle. And we need a paper element. Oh, I've got this little bitty Victorian thing there. That's kind of cute. All right, I need some, like, maybe a little bit of sheet music or some kind of interesting paper. Here's some music. And maybe some thread or cheesecloth or something along that nature. This is really stringy. Nope. That's not it. Got some tissue. Nope. That doesn't thrill me. Maybe just like a little something this color. Where's my box of little bitty elements? That's not it. I must have had it down already. Okay, what'd I do with it? Missing in action. I definitely need something under that. Something. Sorry, I've gone silent because I can't figure out what I did with that little box. Sorry, guys. Alright, let me look in my label box. I don't know that I have any pieces small enough in here, but we'll look. One of these might work. This is a tea box. If you all come across these, one of these, I got this at a thrift store, and I just painted it and embellished it with some scrapbook paper. And then you can see it has little divided things that you can put little bits in. Most of these are Tracy labels in here. I like them in something like this because you can kind of dig through them. This one says Big Girl, but it's blue. And of course, there's more than one girl. I don't really care that much for using sentiments in something like this. I don't use them a lot anyway, but I like that color wise. I still feel like I need some string. Do I have any thread over here? Most of the thread I have over here is for binding, so it's thicker thread. And not particularly for... Ooh, but I do have this color in here. Not particularly for sewing, you know, regular sewing thread. And if you try to use binding thread to make a little nest, it doesn't clump up well. But look at this color. See, that keeps me from even wanting to use this now, which is good. Okay, so let's do some inking and gluing here. So let's ink this. Crinkle it up a little bit. Now, my next decision is going to be whether I want to sew around this or not. But I'll make that decision later after I get a little bit further along. I'd say that I probably do. I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to glue on this button. I would suggest something like Fabri-Tac or even your hot glue gun for this, because the hot glue gun would fill up that little open area. So I'm going to fill it up with Fabri-Tac and clamp it and hope that it holds it down. If not, I can always go back and hot glue it. And let's clamp that as well, just to be sure. All right, so there is our first journal card, and let's check on this. It should be good. And there is our cover, which I am very pleased with. I think it's a good representation of what was going on in my head. And I really like how this came out. I think that's a nice little embellishment there that kind of, you know, mimics what's going on. So like I said, the next video, I think we'll be putting in the signature, and then we can continue to embellish the cards and stuff on the inside. This particular card that we just made goes right here in this little corner pocket. So it's going to go right there. And so I think that's going to look really cute. I'm going to get all of the little journal cards and things like that embellished before I decide where most of the cabinet cards are going to go. But for the most part, they are just going to be tucked down in, because most of them have backs on them, and I don't want to glue them down, because to me the backs are just as interesting as photos on the front. So for example, because there's a journal card here and a tag here, this picture will probably just be tacked down, you know, stuck down in there like that. I have this little card that I'm going to use with the baby picture. Which is where? Here it is. So that is going to be somehow in the layout with this little lady. And this is Sampool, for those of you that have not seen that before. So I think it's going to end up really cool. Well, I've got 2 more larger size pictures that I'm going to include, cabinet cards. One of them is this one, which is Jenny and her aunt. And this one, which I do not know who this is, but I'm thinking, based on the other pictures, that this is her sister-in-law, and this is her mother-in-law, based on what I can figure out from the rest of the album. But you can see they, like, this one actually had the names on the back, and this one has the photo artist, and so I don't want to cover those up, and so we're going to stick those down in various areas where we have pockets and tucks, and maybe even one on the front of the signature or in the signature. I haven't decided yet, but I don't want to put them down so you can't see the back of them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So there we go. There's our cover. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And again, I apologize for this not coming out until Monday. Like I said, I forgot that I had committed to help her move in. And I appreciate y'all being patient with me. And I, of course, appreciate you all watching my videos, and please feel free to comment if you have a question, or if you just want to, you know, give me a general comment or tell me something that you would do differently or make easier. I'll be glad to respond to you. I try to respond to all of the comments, and I think I have about caught up now from being on vacation. But if I've missed you, I apologize. I am trying to get everybody, but sometimes when you're gone like that and you don't see them every day, something gets looked over. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow for Nothing But Neutrals, and I think this week's is Paperclip. So I've got to go figure out what I'm going to do for that, and I will see you guys back tomorrow. Bye.